This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Feeling stressed? Take a moment for yourself with Heyday. Stroll through rows of golden wheat, tend to cute barnyard animals, and discover the joys of a digital farm retreat. You don't have to hop in a car or catch a plane. Escape to the farm at the tap of a finger. With Heyday, you're not just tending to a farm, you're tending to yourself. Heyday. Search Heyday, that's Hay space DAY, in your favorite app store. Heyday is a free-to-play mobile game and offers optional in-app purchases and random rewards.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Hi, I'm James Caan. I wrote the novels of Return of the Jedi, Poltergeist, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom.
Hey, I'm UFC strawweight Rana Marcos.
Hey, it's Tyler from Theory of a Dead Man.
Hey, I'm Tim Coates. Hi, this is Scott Coker, president of Bellator MMA.
Hey guys, I'm Canadian Olympian Lauren Suppleman.
Hey guys, this is Mia Kang, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model and Muay Thai fighter.
Hey everybody, what's happening? This is Zach Wild from Black Label Society.
Hey everybody, this is Devin Townsend, and you're listening to the Toddcast Podcast. Enjoy.
The Toddcast Podcast is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Over the years, I've talked to enough actors and actresses on this podcast to know that you need thick skin to be in that industry. That or you just can't give a shit. You face constant rejection, financial uncertainty. You chase roles but often hear no. To be successful, you need persistence, constant self-improvement. It can be emotionally exhausting and draining. Well, this week, actor, producer, and entrepreneur Adam Ambruso is a guest, and he shares his awesome story. You'll probably best know him from his roles in Butterfly Caught, Saltwater, and Trafficked, and his latest movie, a modern take on the island of Dr. Moreau. Adam plays a Bangkok mob boss in Eyes in the Trees.
I actually haven't been watching the buzz too much, but it seems like it's been picked up by a lot of the big trades, and it's exciting. It's exciting, so I appreciate that. It was definitely a big win for sure.
Yeah, because there's some big actors in there, right? Sir, yeah. Do you call him Sir?
I know, right? Yeah. Well, if I would have got to meet him, I definitely would have. Because this was interesting. This movie was shot around this COVID time period, so they had to shoot him out. Not COVID, I'm sorry, the strike. So they had to shoot him out early because we didn't know what was going to happen. So all my scenes were actually with Jonathan Rhys Meyers and Ashley Green. But, okay. Yeah, I definitely would have called him Sir for sure.
That's great.
He's earned that. He deserves it.
Just a super interesting talk with Adam. Now, joining him on this podcast, she is a Toronto-based IFBB pro, kinesiologist, and personal trainer, making her second appearance on this podcast. And through her website, Alicia Bell offers transformation programs for both men and women, nutrition and supplementation guidance, and specialized training for athletes. And she talked to us about what it was that got her down the fitness path.
Yeah, I ran track all through university, and in university I was also coaching, and a huge component in track is weightlifting. So I was always in the gym, always in the gym. And even after I was done with track, I was still always in the gym. And my friend competed, and she was like, "Oh, you're always in the gym. You should probably just compete anyway." And then she was like, "All you have to do is it's just diet is the only difference about whatever you're doing."
Not too shabby, right? An IFBB pro, a Hollywood actor, and you'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a second. He is the frontman of a Canadian multi-Juno award-winning metal band. My name is Todd Hancock. Excellent of you to stop by, check us out, or you keep coming back, whichever it is. Thank you. Of course, got to give props where it's due. It's because of our sponsors, like our title sponsor, Citywide Mortgage Services, that we're able to continue banging out these podcasts for you. Getting a mortgage doesn't have to be overwhelming. I used a good friend, Dara, at Citywide Mortgage, and honestly, he made the whole process painless. He's one of the owners, and his team is super experienced. They will walk you through every step, shop around, get the best deal for you. It felt more like having a guide than a salesperson. If you're buying or refinancing or even just exploring options, you want Citywide Mortgage Services in your corner. Use my network. Talk to Dara. He'll dial things up for you through citywidemortgage.ca. Okay, so coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, gob drummer Gabe Mantle shares a Warped Tour story that involves Green Day. It's great. That is powered by our friends Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service, repairs. Indeed, they are ICBC accredited. They are 9-year sponsors. They haven't taken a break in that time. Absolutely huge in our world and a massive reason we're able to keep on keeping on. You can find them kicking around from time to time online through Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, let's get you to our first guest of 3. This week's musical guest, as mentioned, Anciients singer Kenny Cook. Without question, one of Canada's best metal bands. They are from Vancouver, formed in 2011. It's Kenny, Mike Hannay, who plays drums, Brock McInnes, who's a guitarist, and Rory O'Brien, the bass player. As mentioned only a minute ago, they're multiple Juno Award winners, and when Kenny jumped to Zoom with us, they just won their second Juno only the weekend before.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy weekend last weekend for sure. A totally unexpected event occurred. None of us going into it were first of all expecting the nomination, but to win it, it was something special. We didn't think we had a shot in hell given the competition. So we're all just kind of still in shock.
Yeah. Multiple Juno Award winner. That's got a pretty damn good ring to it, hey?
Crazy, yeah.
I think Kenny was just surprised by the win because of the other nominees this year, like Devin Townsend, Spirit Box, 2 incredible bands. And it really shows the metal prowess, I guess, of Anciients. They're truly one of the best. We talked with Kenny for damn near half hour. You can hear it now on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast. If you would rather watch the video, it's up now at our YouTube channel. Everything is at Toddcast Podcast. And I think if you were to talk to any metal fan, Anciients would be among their favorite bands. Like I said, they've been around since 2011. Their albums are impeccable. Heart of Oak in 2013, Voice of the Void in 2016, and of course last year's Beyond the Reach of the Sun. Kenny used to be in a band called Spread Eagle. We'll get to more on that in just a sec. And he talked about what it was like growing up in Mission, touring Europe, being compared to Mastodon. And how old was he when he started to get serious about playing music?
Well, I started really trying to learn the guitar when I was about 12 years of age.
Okay.
Like obsessed with like Nirvana and Soundgarden and Silverchair as a young kid. So yeah.
Just the huge riffs and great singers and
totally. And easy enough riffs for me to figure out at the time. That was about the main gist of it.
Yeah. And so what were you growing up around? Like what were your parents playing for music when, before you started finding bands?
Like my dad was crazy into all types of music, but like The Last Waltz by the band was like a massive staple. Pink Floyd, The Wall, Neil Young, all that classic rock kind of stuff.
And so you grew up in like a music house, huh?
Yeah, like my parents weren't really musicians themselves, but yeah, my dad pretty much had music cranked my whole childhood, right? Yeah, and always had the most killer stereo. So I remember a lot of nights just falling asleep to a shaking house.
I love hearing about the early years of musicians that we have on this podcast. Anciients have shared the stage with huge bands like Lamb of God, Sepultura. We talked in depth about their time touring with Lamb of God in the full interview. We get to other parts of Kenny's life as well, like binging Breaking Bad. We talked about family life, moving to the Okanagan. And back to Spread Eagle for a sec. Listen to Kenny talk about the learning curve of going from that band to starting and fronting Ancients.
It was just kind of thrown into the deep end kind of thing. Yeah, it was basically that, and like the toughest thing was like the whole singing part, because I had never really sang much before, and learning how to do the growls and stuff like that. Like that kind of was the hardest part to overcome, especially the confidence and nerves part of it. But as far as like the structure of a band, like we already had that commitment just carried over from Spread Eagle, so we're basically still in the routine. It was kind of militant, like we didn't really think twice about practicing 2 to 3 times a week. That's just kind of what we were doing, right? So all of that kind of just transferred into this new project, and we just shifted gears and focused on something different.
Right, the stepping stone from one band to the next. Love hearing Kenny talk about that progression. We also got into the music in his life, like Miles Davis. He talked about seeing Gob in concert, Ovechkin's goal-scoring record, Canucks hockey, and being knocked out of playoff contention this year.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a bit of a bummer. Like, as a kid before music, that's funny you asked that. It's like hockey was my life from 5 to 13. So I played it every day out front of my house, played ice hockey. So I was obsessed with the Canucks as a kid. And then once my son was born in 2015, we didn't have cable. We just stopped paying for cable. So I didn't really have a means to watch it. Until last season, we just got a form of cable back. So I was back on
the Sportsnet Pacific or whatever it is. Like I don't even have cable either, but I'm like, man, I need to watch the Canucks. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So last year I was pretty deep into it. This year I've been quite busy. So it's like when I have the time and they're playing, like I was watching and obviously following still. I did watch that crazy game the other day.
I know.
I fucking turned it off
at 5-2. Same. I turned my kid was like, "Dad, get in."
Check my phone, and I was like, "Oh shit, they got one back," and then another one. I was pissed off that I missed it. yeah. But yeah, I do enjoy sports when I have the time to.
Yeah. That, by the way, is such a Canucks way to win. Like
no kidding.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
Both ways, sorry, I
Now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Gob has been around since 1993, over 30 years as a band. And if you're from the Lower Mainland, they formed in Langley. You'll likely know them well. Huge in the late 90s. Nominated for Best New Group at the Junos in 2000. They didn't win, but still neat to be considered. That same year, their album World According to Gob dominated Canadian radio airwaves. You would hear them as much as you would hear The Tragically Hip or Sloan, Tea Party, I Mother Earth, that sort of thing. You've heard their songs in TV shows, movies, video games like the NHL franchise or Madden NFL. Straight Up Gob is one of Canada's best punk bands ever. And when their drummer, Gabe, was a guest, we talked about so much more than just music. Binging Better Call Saul and Workaholics, comic books, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Archie comics, the story of seeing the Police in concert. We talked about gambling, Bob Marley, ABBA, and the Rolling Stones came up. He shared a near-death driving story, Star Wars and Star Trek. We talked about aliens and Bigfoot. And Gabe shared a great Warped Tour story about one show in particular in Calgary and how they went on after Punk Elite. Listen to this.
We were really lucky. We got to play at UBC a couple times here. And it was, we were sandwiched in between. It was like Eminem.
Yeah.
And it was Eminem and like Green Day, in the middle kind of thing. And we had some crazy times on that World Tour. I remember one time I just, to me that really sticks out, it was great here. We had crazy shows here in Vancouver, but I remember one time in Calgary and, you show up at the Warped Tour and the way it used to be is that you didn't know the time you were on until you got there at 11 a.m.
Really?
So everyone gets it at the same time. And of course, no effects and those bands, they know they're going to be near the end of the show. But, the bands like, say, Gob, we didn't know. Like, it could be like, we could literally be on first or we could be, on last. And so we get there and it was the year that Green Day was on it. One of the years that Green Day was on with us. And this is in Calgary, and we get there at 11, and they're like, "You're going on last. You're going on after Green Day." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" So I'm like,
whoa,
sweating the whole day. It's like, "Oh no, how's this going to be? Everyone's going to leave. How are we going to go on after Green Day?" And so it gets to the time, and we're kind of setting because there used to be two stages right side by side.
Yeah.
Green Day's playing, and we're setting up. You're setting up on the other side at the same time as they're playing, and what happened was I'm like looking out. We're setting up, and all of a sudden, what happens is that like the whole crowd starts going Gob, Gob, Gob while Green Day was playing.
What?
You're louder than Green Day, like. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be all right. And we went on, and you know what? Everyone stuck around, and it was just we kicked ass. I mean, back in those days, like it was a big deal. Like we would, we got to go on after Green Day, and everyone stayed. We were the headliner, and like
that is crazy.
It was crazy, man. And we would go out after, and go to the merch booth, and we'd be like, this is great. And there'd be all these people on, we would sell like $50,000 in merch. And to us, like, you can only imagine like, that's like, say, I don't know, that feels like Taylor Swift numbers to me or something. It's just totally so insane. And, we came from like all ages shows where if you sold $500, you're stoked kind of thing. Right. So, to go to that, to like, playing with Green, headlining over Green Day kind of thing. And
wow.
Sell like 50,000 in merch. It was like, what the hell is going on? And, it was humble beginnings. So like literally where it's like, a 6-pack of beer and a couple pieces of pizza and a kick in the ass. And there you go, boys.
Like happy about that. Sounds great. We'll play the show. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, Powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
only 10 days away from that ass-kicking Southern Death Threat at Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. On Friday, May 23, the Toddcast Podcast Blue Light Sessions, Volume 38. So it's Southern Death Threat, Fear the Possessed, we'll play something from those guys later on, and Lonely Funeral. And I'm hearing Little birdie told me that we might be privy to seeing 2 or 3 songs from Noise Therapy. It's not confirmed, but I'm just saying. And for $20, you will not find a better deal this month in Vancouver's music scene. And it's SDT's guitarist Brennan's 50th birthday. Believe me, this night is about to get red out of hand. Hopefully you grabbed one of those tickets because this one is officially sold out. So maybe we'll see you next Friday. Doors are at 7 o'clock. The show starts around 8-ish. I played you a new song from Steve Bass, and it's called Women's Jeans. Now, Steve and I have been talking about having him play a podcast show later in the summer. Probably won't be likely till September, but hopefully I can dial that up because Steve would absolutely kill in that world, right? Acoustic storytelling. He's a great guy. Would love to see that happen. All right, so coming up in just a little bit with Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila, talks U.S. and Canadian politics. This is from a conversation that we had before Trump took office, before Carney won the Canadian election. An interesting take, considering this is from somebody that you normally would hear them beak off about sports, the Canucks, the Lions, the Whitecaps. That is powered by the Home Dwell Group, longtime friends. One of the managing partners, in fact, is my longest running friend. Since grade 6, we still hang out all the time. He is a wizard in that world. He's helped design some incredible buildings, you know, for sure, in Vancouver, and he'll help guide you through that process, right? If you're buying a home, selling your house, contact Kyle today. He'll go beyond expectations. Talk about renovations and upgrades or whether something's even worth buying in the first place. Again, find Kyle at homedwell.ca. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week is our sporting guest, IFBB Pro National Champion, Alicia Bell. As mentioned off the top, this is Alicia's second time on the podcast. Simply put, she's a renowned fitness expert. IFBB Pro National Champion. Her resume is stacked. Kinesiologist, personal trainer, online coach, track and field coach, a well-known YouTuber, a 3-time fitness cover model. Been there, done that. And she's super, super cool. Alicia currently lives in Toronto and talked about growing up living with her grandparents.
I always loved all sports, and growing up, I grew up with my grandparents. And so every Sunday we watched football, and my family was Pittsburgh fans. And I was like, nope, Ravens. I got to do the opposite because I need to do the opposite of everybody else. Mm. And then we were closest to Montreal in New Brunswick. So everyone cheered for the Habs versus the Leafs.
Oh, okay.
So growing up, I was a Habs fan, but
right. And how about present day? Do you give a shit about NHL and all that or no?
I lived in Ottawa, and I lived in Ottawa when the Sens were in the playoffs, and I was a Sens fan because they're
making it again this year. They're in this year. It's got announced.
And then
right?
I was friends with Ray Emery when I lived in Ottawa, so I had to cheer for Ottawa. And then I moved to Vancouver, and Vancouver was in Stanley Cup playoffs when I lived in Vancouver against Boston, and they lost, and there was a huge riot. And I was a Vancouver fan. But then when I moved to Toronto, the Leafs suck. So I've been to a Leafs game.
You know that's the clip I'm using.
That's fine.
Those suck.
And what's worse is that
it's something about that team. They do okay in the regular season, and then they shit the bed every single playoffs. Guys, get your.
And I live really close to their practice arena, and then when they do their outdoor rink practice, I can see it from my balcony. I watched it from my balcony this year, and I was and even my ex-boyfriend's brother is the Leafs alumni, Mark Fraser, and he was there. And so I texted Curtis and I was like, I heard your brother's name from my house.
I like that. Hearing Alicia talk about watching the NFL and Montreal Canadiens games with her grandparents. She also talked about growing up around country music. We talked about school sports days. Remember those before the participation ribbons? Seeing Great Big C in concert. She touched on meal planning and metabolism. And here she gets into the importance of discipline and self-motivation.
Yeah, it's always discipline over motivation. My friend Avery is always saying I'll be I'm tired. And he's like, well, take a rest day. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I have a plan, follow the plan. It doesn't matter how I feel. If today's leg day and I want to nap, I'm still going to go do leg day.
You don't normally hear it put that way, hey? Most of the time, people will talk about that you need motivation, but it makes sense what Alicia just said. It's discipline over motivation. The full talk is about 25 minutes long. You can hear it. You can see it now on social media, all at Toddcast Podcast. Again, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Megaphone. The video, of course, is posted at our YouTube channel. So we got into a lot of stuff with Alicia. She shared a near-death motorbike story. She talked about her dogs, meeting Shaq and Snoop Dogg, what Toronto's nightlife is like, the build-up to competition. And I thought this was cool. She tried out for Amazing Race Canada.
Me and my best friend, Adrienne Power, she's a former Olympic track athlete. We got to the second round of Amazing Race Canada this year. That's about as far as
Serious?
We only got to the second round though.
That's amazing.
I thought I was gonna get further because I put a lot of like celebrities in my on our audition tape. Like I had Shaq, Marlon Wayans, Damian Wayans. I don't even remember who else. I put a whole bunch of celebrities in it, and like the producer wrote me as soon as I submitted it. She goes, "Is that Shaq or is that AI Shaq?" I'm like, "No, that's Shaq." And I was like, so cool. Nobody else is gonna have these people in their audition tape, but I guess.
Right. What did you have to do in the first round of that? Like that would be something like for me, I don't necessarily like it is reality TV, but it's not like I don't think look and go like, oh, it's Big Brother. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's not the same. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's still reality because they're filming you, but it's like your challenges, right? Yeah.
So what did you have to do in that first round?
The first was like a audition tape. So Adrienne and I did like a split screen kind of thing, and then at the end it was I was like, oh yeah, be ready because we're talking whatever in the video, and at the end I was like, oh yeah, be ready because all my celebrity friends are gonna be watching, and she's like, what, your celebrity friends? And then it cuts to like all my celebrities, well not all, but a bunch of celebrities. So I was like, who's going to beat that? And so then we got on to the second round, and the second round was just, it was like a questionnaire on both of our ends, but that's as far as we got.
Interesting. Because of course I would never know that process, right? Like,
yeah, after the first round, if you get through the second one, they tell you can't talk about it anymore because.
Oh shit. You're at that point.
Well, yeah, we were at that point, but then they never contacted us for the interview. There was supposed to be an in-person interview after that, and they never contacted us. Mm-hmm. We're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast Podcast.
What the mind can do. I swear I'm capable of putting on a smile. It happens naturally. I can't just be who you want me to be. I can't just be who you want me to be. Try to speak, but my words do not suffice. My actions left unnoticed, falling on blind eyes. I can't say I didn't fuck up, but you can't say I didn't try. Now I'm left to wait and wonder till I get a reason why. I'm impossible. So you can't relate. And why am I so fucking good at burning every bridge I build? Every move I fucking make is filled with guilt. I try to speak. I didn't try. Now I'm left to wait and wonder until I get a reason.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
You've heard our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila, as a recurring character on this podcast since we launched on my afternoon show at 99.3 The Fox prior to me getting this podcast for years and years. I would say it's probably about 12 or 15 years at this point. Of course, at the start, it was strictly about sports. The Canucks, the Lions, the Whitecaps, and everybody loved his take, the no-nonsense approach. And somehow, Tequila would beat the local Vancouver sports broadcasters like Taylor, Dollywell, and Patterson. Tequila would often scoop those guys, the guys that you rely on to keep you updated on scoops and stats, predictions, injury reports, whatever. And over the years, Tequila has branched out, and of course, we still talk sports, but literally anything and everything is on the table. And the last time Mr. Tequila was a guest, we talked about the Canucks and their domination last year. Put that in perspective, just how far long ago that he was a guest. Sports jinxes came up. So did Messi and Whitecap soccer. Motley Crue's arbitration with guitarist Mick Mars. We talked about family vacations, police brutality, Vancouver snow days, Canadian school curriculum. See where I'm going with this? And stop me if you've heard this before. Mr. Tequila, again, open to everything and anything. Mr. Tequila talked about politics in Canada and the U.S.
Yeah, I think, okay, so first, Pierre Poilievre, he's a stool pigeon. He might have some good ideas. He was a member of that World Economic Forum, which anybody does any bit of research, those are the guys that really run the world. The World Economic Forum, all these members are leaders of the countries. Like Macron is a member, Trudeau is a member, Biden, all these people are all members of this. So I don't even think voting really dictates anything. I think this shit's been predetermined a long time. Poilievre, he just tries to talk the points that because Trudeau's an absolute moron. Everybody knows this. He shouldn't even have got voted in the last time. What I saw, some of the clips I saw were people throwing shit at the guy coast to coast. There's a lot of hatred for this guy, and he wins. You know what I mean? So,
well, he got my vote the first time because of the weed angle.
Yeah, but again, yeah, that's what he used. But then again, look how long it took for him to implement that. He had to force that through. Otherwise, he was going to be out.
Totally. Right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have got the second vote. Yeah.
He wouldn't have got the second vote. But again, I just think that these guys Trudeau is a fucking moron. In some of those debates, like, I thought, like, even though Jagmeet Singh, I do not like that guy. I thought he hammered Trudeau in a lot of those debates. Like, Trudeau was out of his league. Like, prime ministers aren't supposed to be talking like fucking that. You know what I mean? Like, you should have smart, ready answers. Give me what platform, what you're going to do. I just want to know what you're going to do. I don't give a fuck about what you've done and these attacks on the other party. It's all bullshit. But the American, it's pretty easy to say Trump's going to win again. I think something else is going on there. I think they had to show a bunch of election fraud last time. I think they had to show Americans what it's like to live through this guy. And there's just so much stupidity and political correctness in our world right now. It's a shitty world right now. You say one bloody thing, somebody's offended, and we all got to be offended. It's kind of fucked up these days. You know what I mean?
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the HomeDwell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today.
If someone makes a decision to go to war, they use propaganda, they'll use a false flag, they'll use misinformation. That's werewolf shit, right? That is werewolf. You know what? That is werewolf shit.
Wolves, the blood-driven beasts, they smile through their teeth. The power unleashed, they will hunt you. Prey, they lurk in the dark, prowl in the day, devouring trust in their ways. So run, let the wolf chase, the owl invade. Menacing lies are the weaponry choose. Which wolf will you feed? The fear that misleads, or a hope for a new way?
had somebody ask me on Instagram the other day, do they need earplugs for the shows at the Blue Light Studio? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't use them, but I've seen other people use them. So I don't know. But that band is part of the night. So you take it for what it's worth. Fear the Possessed, and a heavy song for those guys called Werewolves. They are part of the next live show. Again, on Friday, next Friday, the 23rd of May, Blue Light Studio with Southern Death Threat, Fear the Possessed, Lonely Funeral. It's a big night. You heard Cloudsick. That was their song called In Between. It's this Thursday that they're playing. You can see them at Green Auto in East Vancouver. It's literally across the alleyway from where we do our shows at Blue Light. So on Thursday, May 15th, Precursor, Idiofame, Folded Hand, and Cloudsick. It's an all-ages show, $20 in advance, $25 if you wait for the doors. Okay, so our final guest of this episode 364, actor Adam Ambruso, this week's entertainment guest, powered by Thrive Management. So they're an event staffing agency here in Canada run by a good friend of mine named Sasha. She's top tier in that world. If you need models, brand ambassadors through operations or sales, TV, film, trade shows, whatever it is, they work in major cities across our fair country. Find out how Sasha and her excellent team can help elevate your next event through thrivemanagement.ca. At the start of this week's episode, I told you quickly about Adam's resume. Accomplished actor, producer, who you'd probably know from his roles in Trafficked, back in 2017, Butterfly Caught, also same year, and Saltwater in 2016. And for sure, his latest movie will blow your mind. It's called Eyes in the Trees. It kind of reimagines the island of Dr. Moreau. Adam plays an American mob boss running a gambling operation in Bangkok. The movie also stars Sir Anthony Hopkins as a scientist and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as the journalist that's entrenched and entangled in the chaos of all that world. There was a lot of buzz around that movie at the time that we jumped to Zoom together. Adam talked about producing Maserati as well, which is another project in his life that has a buzz around it right now. And if you're like me, when you get the chance to talk to someone who's at the top of their game, I kind of always want to go back to the beginning and find out about the influences and what led him down that path.
I was watching the black and whites because I was a single, I was a latchkey kid, single mom, teenage mom, right? But so, watching Gunsmoke and those kind of fun things when I was a little kid, right? And loved all that. I think at one point I asked my mom if I could change my name to Gunsmoke. I just thought that sounded so tough and cool. And she said, well, let's wait till you're 18. If you still want to change your name to Gunsmoke at 18, we'll do it.
Yes.
Obviously changed my mind.
It's your nickname, but it's not your true name.
That's right. That's right. You can call me G. Gunsmoke. But I watched that, and then I grew up with a lot of the same people that probably I had like an unusual connection with media with a lot of other latchkey kids. A lot of times when you have normal family parent structures, your real formative moments are with your family, right? But when you're raised by a single parent, whether it's a mother or father, they're gone all the time, and you're really just kind of like at home, kind of raising yourself to a degree with TV, the radio. So a lot of your formative moments, for better or for worse, emotional moments, you're having them with media. So you get this unusually strong connection with TV, movies, and music. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up being raised a lot on media, and you see the normal suspects along the way, which are Tom Cruise and Burt Reynolds, and when you're Smokey and the Bandit, and,
Smokey and the Bandit.
You know what I'm saying? And you just see all these sort of iconic figures, James Bond, right?
Yeah.
And you really just become impacted by them, and they kind of become your archetypes. And it was kind of, I don't know any different. Some people may look at that and go, wow, that's kind of sad, but I think it's actually kind of cool. Superman and Christopher Reeves, and you see these iconic figures, and then it gives you something sort of like to aspire to. And then I think even when I was young, I just said, hey, listen, I want to do that. And she's like, okay, well, one day, when you're big enough, you can go do that. We weren't in a situation where she was going to be like, hey, we're going to move to Hollywood and I'm going to figure it out. That wasn't our situation, which happens for a lot of children actors, right?
I guess you really shouldn't be surprised to hear the shows or the movies that led Adam, or certainly at least got him interested in the medium, led him down that path. Gunsmoke, James Bond movies, Superman. The Full Talk with Adam is damn near an hour long. It's all over our social media platforms. Check it out. Obviously, with this podcast, you don't get everything that we talked about in the full conversation. It's just way too long. And suddenly, Toddcasts would go from about an hour long, like they are right now, to maybe like 2.5, 3 hours long. And I wouldn't expect even my mom to sit through all of that. It's cool to get into other things with Adam, right? We talked about gambling. He shared a near-death story. We talked about growing up to the music of Led Zeppelin, Motley Crue, Rush, the Beatles, and how he became fearless while attending the University of Texas.
I got into college and actually had control over my destiny for the first time, really. I took an acting class at University of Texas alongside of my business classes. And I think I did a monologue for Taps, Sean Penn's monologue in there, the big one. Mm-hmm. And when I got done, the teacher just looked at me and said, hey, listen, Adam, why don't you stay after? I'd like to speak with you. And he took me into his office and he said, hey, listen, I'm not totally convinced, but I think you should consider this a profession. Mm. And I remember thinking, well, if this award-winning professor is thinking I should consider this profession, that's all I need to hear. Mm-hmm. I'm out of here. So I graduated and left.
Such a cool story. So you weren't like a drama nerd in high school then?
I wasn't. See, like, that's the thing. Like, I think I kind of had a little bit of, I was a little insecure in high school because I was a late bloomer. And I was a single mom. I didn't really have like a strong male figure in my life to kind of direct me. Mm-hmm. So I was always throwing myself into things like football and stuff to kind of like overcompensate and try to figure out how to like develop that sort of masculinity, because I was looking for that, right? Because I didn't have it at home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to be cool. I was trying to do the cool thing. And I was in Texas and everybody played football. And if you didn't play football, you were retarded or weird or something. Mm-hmm. So I was just trying to like do the thing that would make me kind of be cool and fit in. Mm. So I just kept going.
Probably being a drama nerd is not at the top of that list.
Drama nerd was not the top, right? Yeah. So I think that once I got into college and you start developing a little bit more of like, I don't care what people think.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now, and plus I grew like 3 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier and whiter. And all of a sudden I became like a dude.
Yeah.
And no one was messing with me anymore. And no one wanted to mess with me anymore. And all of a sudden now it's like, okay, now I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't care what any of these guys say. And so my attitude just completely changed. And that's when my whole life changed. I just really became fearless about, I just started diving into things. I became fearless about my degree. I became fearless about, I didn't know anybody in LA. I was like, I'm just going to pack up a U-Haul and I'm going to head to LA. Like I just started doing like really ballsy, gutsy moves that really, I wouldn't say defined who I was before, when I was kind of like this late bloomer kid trying to come up.
Love that, right? Fearless. Trust your way. It's why I end every podcast telling you to believe in yourself. At the heart of it, after talking to Adam for an hour, he's a storyteller. He loves challenging himself and his audience. And as we always do, we went further than what our guests are known for. Loved finding out that Adam is equally a music nerd as he is an acting geek. He shared his first concert experience seeing Olivia Newton-John and how he used to scalp concert tickets back in the day. I was like, dude, you sound like the guy from Fast Times at Ridgemount High. He talked about growing up in a country music house and how country legend Buck Owens is part of his family.
And I come from a country music family, from Texas,
But yet you've yet to mention anything country.
I know.
Zeppelin, the Crew,
I resisted it when I was growing up because I was like, I went through this like European techno phase where I was like Depeche Mode, New Order, all things European and long bangs and shaved back head. That was cool, right? And The Cure. And I mean, I loved that whole group of music. I just thought it was so freaking cool. And then, the industrial stuff, right? And I was fighting against really family, right? My family's country music, and or I came from that. My great uncle was Buck Owens, man. Hee haw, he's country music legend.
What?
I know, crazy, right? I even lived with the family when I was in for a portion of my childhood when I was in Bakersfield, California, for a portion of my childhood. And Buck ran Bakersfield, man. That was his town. And I remember staying at like Merle Haggard's house on the weekends, and crazy, right? So, but you kind of rebel against your roots sometimes. So not everybody, but I did. I rebelled against my roots a little bit. And then I got into college, and again, I didn't have anything to prove as much. I became my own man in college, really. And everybody was listening to country music at UT. I mean, that was it. And everybody was like, that was the way to like connect with a girl. You'd go to a party. And the cool thing about country music is like, you dance with somebody. So there's no better way to get to know that hot girl that you want than to go dance with her. So what happens is you end up falling, you fall in love with music that makes you feel a certain way, right? And what's cool about country music is it makes you feel good on the whole. It's a wholesome kind of a vibe. The music, the words often are in line with that usually. And so I fell in love with this way it made me feel. And then I started to really understand and appreciate the country music. I started listening to it. And then there was like a period of like 2 or 3 years where I didn't listen to anything but country. Like I went country nuts, like all the country greats. And then I discovered old country, outlaw country, Willie Nelson, Jerry Jeff Walker, and then all the way up to like, Garth Brooks and all those guys, right? And so I love country music too. So I'm a big country music fan now. And I kind of like, I like it all. Like, and Buck Owens is amazing. I have a major appreciation for what he did now more than ever. And so I've come to peace with that. But I love country music now.
Toddcast Podcast entertainment guest visits are powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency that provides staffing services across Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and all of BC. Find out more at thrivemanagement.ca.
Got no reason to sweat, 'cause I got the last laugh. Yeah, I'm on the fast track to the rest of my life. I kicked out the guilty, made room for the pleasure, feeling light as a feather, floating up to cloud 9. So I'ma let loose my beats and the pressure, learn to love a little better, in a different state of mind. I'ma let loose, feel the magic of a moment, it's gone before you know it, and you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose, ooh, 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 ooh. I'ma let loose, ooh, ooh. What's the use in holding on to my perfect composure? The little devil's on my shoulder, getting blinded by my light. They can't handle it when I let loose my beats and the pressure, learn to love a little better, in a different state of mind. I'ma let loose, feel the magic of a moment, it's gone before you know it, and you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose, ooh. I'ma let loose. 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 I'm easing the pressure. Learn to love a little better. From a different state of mind, I'ma let loose. Feel the magic of the moment. It's gone before you know it. And you can't get back the time. So I'ma let loose. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'ma let loose. Ooh, ooh. Hey, I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. Come on, I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose. I'ma let loose.
I love that. The cute little laugh at the end there. Sadie Campbell and Let Loose. She's releasing an acoustic version of that song, maybe more from the album as well. I'm not sure, to be honest. But I saw an acoustic version of Let Loose on her Instagram account, and I wanted to give you a bit of a heads up. Sadie's originally from Vancouver. She and I actually worked together at one point at CFOX. She was in the promo department. Of course, I was doing their afternoon show for 12 years. So we'd work like hand in hand at times. She's been down in Nashville for the better part of a decade, maybe more, is killing it down there, and rightfully so. Super proud of what she's accomplished over the years. Okay, before we put this one to bed, I wanted to give a big thanks to this week's guests. Ancients singer Kenny Cook, IFBB Pro National Champ Alicia Bell, and actor Adam Ambruso. Thank you for taking the time to be a guest, jumping on a Zoom, sharing your story. It's very, very cool. So episode 364 is officially done. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Appreciate you being along for the ride. Please let your friends know about us and what we're doing. Also, check out realm.fm. We're part of the Nonfiction Network. So many great podcasts at realm.fm. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone. Watch all of our videos, not only just the interviews, but also the music videos that we make from the stuff that we do at the Blue Light Studio. It's very, without, slapping my back. It's very cool. Search us out through what else? Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our amazing sponsors. We couldn't do it without their support. Probably wouldn't do it without their support. If you want to be a sponsor, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. Shoot me a note and let's see if we can help your business grow. If you help us find a sponsor, by the way, this still applies. We'll give you a commission. Can you think of any other podcast doing that? Joe Rogan? Bro? All right, till next time, don't be an asshole, because nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, like I said, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now, like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle, what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures?
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry, Jiminy.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.